Sit back, relax, and enjoy the halftime show with Monty Walker and Jay Lindley.
Welcome back to the Cellular Pager Warehouse halftime show. I'm joined with legendary McKinney head coach Ron Poe. Thanks for being with us, Coach. Tell us what you're doing these days.
Well, I'm retired. I'm living in East Texas in a place called Hideaway down near Tyler, Texas. Live on the golf course, and I play a lot of golf and cut the grass and take care of the yard, and that's about it.
Now, Coach, you were successful at the 3A, 4A, and 5A levels. Do you miss coaching at all?
Oh, yeah, I miss it. You know, I told my wife earlier this year that, boy, I might get back in, and she said, well, you've been at it long enough, you forgot all the bad things, remember all the good things. And that's about right. But I had a great time, and I do miss it, especially on Friday nights. I got two sons coaching, so I go watch them play, and I miss it on Friday night. Well,
Coach, McKinney has clinched the playoffs for the first time since your very last game versus Coppell in 2000. What do you remember about that last game?
Well, I probably remember the bad part of the disappointment when it was over with. We went for a first down at the end of the ball game and missed it for about a half a yard and should have won the ball game. I really felt like we had the best team, but that year we'd gotten down to our fourth quarterback, and we won the district championship with a young man that came over from defense and played quarterback for us. So probably we were lucky to get as far as we did. But, you know, once you get there, you still want to keep winning.
Now let's go way back to 1973, your very first playoff game with McKinney, a by-district matchup with Mansfield and Arlington. What do you remember about that one?
We won the ball game 3-0. Jimmy Sturt kicked the field goal to win the 3-0.
Now we mentioned you have a couple of sons coaching, and I understand that's where you'll be this weekend.
Yes. Matt is the offensive coordinator at Sherman High School, and they're playing tonight on Friday night, and we're going to go see them play Fort Worth Brewer. Bill, my youngest son, is a coach at Irving MacArthur. They went undefeated this year, the 10-0 and district champs, and they're playing Denton Ryan on Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock. So I'll be there to see them also. Probably both of them better coaches than their daddy was, because they've been around it all their life. They grew up with being a coach's son, and they've been around it, so they know what they're doing, I think.
With Coach Todd McVeigh in his second year and first playoff game as head coach, what advice would you give him?
Well, I tell you what, Todd has done a great job. I got to see a game a couple of weeks ago and talk with them after the game, and he's got the kids playing hard. And the first advice, the advice I'd give him: do what you do best. You know, don't come up with something new going into the playoffs. Just stick with your game plan. Do what you've been doing all year, and don't get the kids confused.
In celebrating the 25th anniversary of the 1979 state championship team, what was the most memorable thing about that team?
Oh, probably the state championship game, or maybe the semifinal game. We played Lubbock Estacada in the semifinal game out in Abilene, and we were down 14-0, and they kicked off to us, and we fumbled the ball. Actually, it hit one of our linemen, and they covered the ball. Was about to make it 21-0, and Jamie Harris intercepted the pass, running back for a touchdown, and after that we got on fire a little bit and wound up winning the ball game. Probably the toughest game we played during the championship route was against them. And then, of course, Jamie Harris in the Astrodome running 2 punts back for touchdowns.
Well, coaching runs in the family with the Poes, as we've found out. Did your brother ever beat you?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. We don't talk about that a whole lot because he's retired with me. We live next door on the golf course here, so we're with each other every day, but we don't talk about that a whole lot.
How many times did your mother have to switch sides at half?
Oh, I think we played about 7 or 8 times, I think. So she got where she felt sorry for him. She stayed on his side more than she did mine. Hey, let me tell you this, though, Monty. It wasn't necessarily because I was the best coach. I just happened to be in the best place and had the best players, okay?
McKinney's football program really got going in the mid-'60s with head coach Tommy Hudspeth. Did you know him at all when you took over in 71?
Yes, I did. Tommy Hudspeth, and when I was a young coach, he was one of those coaches I wanted to be like. You know, he was a very astute man, very, very good coach, very good Christian man, and I wanted to pattern my life after him because I'd been to some other places and watched him work and knew him well, yes.
Starting with McKinney in 71, you saw a lot of change in technology with the way the game was scouted and played through 2000. Talk about that.
I think, Monty, that we were very fortunate in that we had we had administration and a school board that supported us, and we had the facilities to make those changes. And you know, if you're not willing to change, you're going to get behind. And we made a lot of changes from 1971 to 1990, and I felt like, and I take some pride in this, that we kept up with the game and we kept up with what was going on, and it enabled us to continue to have a good program, and good programs win ball games. So we won a lot of ball games because of that.
Well, when you were here, there was one high school. Now there's two. How does that change things?
Well, I think it always changes, Monty. I don't know whether good or bad, but it changes because there's no one complete unity of the whole town pulling for one group of kids. You know, you're kind of split. But you know, they've grown to the size now that because it's always a numbers game. If you can get enough kids in school and get enough athletes out, you got a chance to win. So, but both of their numbers are up, so it gives them a chance to win anyway. And the administration has continued to support them over the years, and boy, they've got great facilities, and so I think it's still a good situation.
Coach, if you could pick an all Ron Poe team, who would be the first player to come to mind?
Oh, probably the kid I mentioned a while ago, Jamie Harris, probably the best athlete I coached over all the years. And I had a lot of good ones now, and it's hard to do it. But Jamie was this kind of a special athlete, and he was about 5'7", weighed about 150 pounds at soaking wet, but he was a great athlete. And I had the great pleasure of all those years coaching my three sons, you know, and that brings back a lot of good memories too. So. And the young one, Bill, was probably the strongest competitor I've ever known. He wasn't a great athlete, but a great competitor.
The all-time leading head coach with victories at McKinney was Charles Qualls with 40 wins, and then you come along and get 221. What was the formula for your success? Good athletes and good assistant coaches. You know, there's one thing I did real well. I was able to hire good coaches, and they coached the kids and made us win. Can't imagine anybody would want to run you out of town after 2 losing seasons in 30 years. Quite an accomplishment. 30 years with the same school. That's got to make you pretty proud. That's got to be pretty special.
Yeah, it really is, Monty. I think that I was very fortunate. And, you know, and during that process, in the years, I had a chance to leave, and there's probably a lot of times people wanted me to leave. But, you know, it was a good situation. We were able to win. I had good support there, and I'm a family person, and I wanted to raise my family in one town, so I was able to do that. I felt very fortunate.
One of the big rivalries in the playoffs with McKinney seemed to be Corsicana after them knocking you out in 82, 83, and 84. How big was it to finally stick it to them in 85 and 86?
I tell you what, it was real big. We went down to their place the first time we had to beat them. We beat them. We went down to their place, and it wound up with a little sophomore kicker kicking 3 field goals, I believe, to win the ball game. But it was big to win because they had some great teams and some great athletes. Then the next year we played them in Texas Stadium, and probably the best team that we saw in '86, and was able to beat them on a couple of big plays by a couple of our backs, and it was big to beat them because they were a good program and a good team.
I was in 6th grade in '86, and growing up in the Sherman area, I didn't get a lot of McKinney coverage, but one name I did learn was Randy Simmons. I guess every coach wishes they had someone that talented.
I tell you what, he was a great back to have, a great young man, played extremely hard for us, was a great running back, you know, and everybody wants to have one of those on his team. I guess he's probably the only one that I ever had was considered a high school All-American, but he was a great player and a great young man, too.
With McKinney entering the playoffs for the first time since your regime, what would you tell the kids tonight?
You know, play hard. Play hard. You represent yourself. You represent tradition. You represent the school. You carry those colors of blue and gold. And the only thing I want from you, I want 2 things. I want your effort, and I want your efficiency. I want you to play good, and I want you to play hard.
Coach, it's been a pleasure and an honor. If you were here, I'd shake your hand. I do appreciate you coming on the show with us, and good luck in your retirement, and I hope everything's well.
Thank you very much, and I hope the McKinney Lions keep winning. You've
been listening to legendary head coach Ron Poe on the Cellular Pager Warehouse Halftime Show. We'll be back in a moment with more McKinney Lions football on 97.5 K-Lake FM.